to the show. I'm Tosh Taylor.
And I'm Jenna Morton, and we are on location again this week, which is one of our favorite things to do. And I was gonna say, if you're a really keen listener and watcher, maybe you'd recognize we've been here before, but you probably won't, because I realized the last time we were in this building, we were down below at the Riverview skate park talking about Winter Carnival. This time we are upstairs in the youth center, which is very appropriate for what we're talking about today, because we are going to talk about the Riverview Youth Network. And to do that, we are joined by two fantastic guests, Heather Stordy and Ross Smith. Thank you both for coming to be with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us, yeah.
So we're just gonna jump right in and start from the very beginning, because I'm sure that most people don't even know that there is a youth network yet. So Heather, can you tell us a little bit about just what the network is and how it came to be?
Sure, thanks. So the Riverview Youth Network was born out of a conversation between Mayor Andrew and I'll refer to him as Mayor Andrew LeBlanc, the town of Riverview. Based on what we were hearing and seeing around the youth in Riverview, as you know, there was a series of traumatic events that happened in the last year and a half, and so I was part of leading that crisis response. And the response effort was really to secure the mental and physical safety of our schools, of our students, our staff, and the community. So as we started to have those conversations, the mayor and I, and it's obviously very important to him, we started to say, what's going on with our youth? What's affecting our youth? And let's take a look at that, and what can we do about that? I'll give a shout out to the Tantramar Task Force, because they developed a community network up there similar to what we've modeled here. And they've done a great job in bringing community together. And so that's a concept that I presented to Andrew. He thought it was fantastic. So then it was born. And then we invited our buddy Paul Toner, who's part of the United Way, to join us, because a lot of the work we do together and have done together, and their model around youth and U-turns fit exactly what we were doing. So we brought together partners around the table. So I have a list. I don't want to forget. I'll try to make sure I do everyone justice. But several community partners, including the Anglophone East School District and the town of Riverview. So we would be the founding partners. Atlantic Wellness, Boys and Girls Club Riverview, the Child and Youth Team and Integrated Service Delivery, Social Development, Horizon Health, Impact Society, Heroes Program, the RCMP, the Riverview High Student Government, the Riverview Skate Park, United Way U-Turns, parents, and most importantly, our youth, our students. We knew that that was just such a key part of this. We could all sit around as adults and go, oh yeah, we think that's a great idea. We think this is a problem. But until we heard from them, actually, they really enlightened us. And what we thought maybe would be an issue was not, or what wasn't really on our radar, they brought to our attention. So we established in the fall of 2021. We've been working at this now for about 9 months, and going through the process of gathering data and information, we did brainstorming sessions with everyone in the youth network, and we listened to the youth. So they brought to us what they felt was important, what they wanted to see change. Some things were, important, but we thought let's put them on the back burner. And let's really sort of define what the priorities are. It can be overwhelming sometimes, but let's try to chunk it down and see what the priorities were. So we developed it initially for committees, subcommittees, to look at the concerns and the issues. So we have the Parent Engagement Committee, which I know Ross is leading that one up. Youth-specific activities. That was a big one, and there was lots of really good chatter about let's bring back a lot of the things that kids can be reintroduced in, and let's remember it's been a pandemic, and that has really affected our youth in isolation. So a lot of the things that would normally be happening went away. So then we lost touch with our youth, right? Mental health support for parents. We know parents are struggling. And in that committee, we also sort of combined, there were a few things, but youth and conflict resolution. and that term that's being used an awful lot in social media these days, bullying. So we really wanted to look at that and see what that looks like and define it and determine what we could do there. Also, the youth said that we'd like to have a committee around specifically normalizing mental health therapy. And right now, we're kind of putting that on hold and working on some of the other priorities, but it's still there and it's still available. And we have lots of folks around our network that will be able to address a lot of these things. So we're working together to do that. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, I guess. If I've missed anything, Ross, feel free to jump in.
No, I think that's great. I think just kind of acknowledging the work that's already being done too by a lot of those organizations that are already involved.
Absolutely.
Like Heather said, some of these issues that not necessarily have been put to the back burner, but that we're already doing, some activities, some programming around. And it's just communicating those programs and putting the strengths of those programs together and really using our assets and communicating, what those assets are within the organizations so that we have a greater strength and we're not doing, the same work from two different places. So we can, just combine forces a little bit better for the youth in the community. So yeah.
I think that point it's so powerful and it's so misunderstood. And I think a lot of times when people hear about another organization that brings more organizations together, they think it's just paper pushing and more talking heads. But having been on an early childhood network set up in a similar manner with Paul Toner, I know that sitting in that room with these different groups, you realize exactly where people have been overlapping, trying to do the same thing and provide the same service. And you realize, oh, if this group does it, then this group can do something else.
Absolutely.
And you can all work together and be
That's
able
the
to
goal. Yes.
send people into the right places. And it does make such a huge difference to have those opportunities to bring people together, especially I can imagine after 2 years of the pandemic of not having the same networking that you would have had before that between groups.
For
We
sure.
really want to, mimic the behaviors that we want our youth mimicking. So really, by being out there and working together, we're just really solidifying that cohesion that, we want our youth working together as well. And that's kind of one of our future goals too, is really putting it out there and making the network visible to the youth so that they do know that, Ross from the skate park is working with Heather from the district, who's working with Andrew at the town. So, even just seeing that collaboration is a huge strength. And I think, we all learn by example. And that's one of the things that we're out there doing is, trying to put it out there and really be visible. So.
And it's important to acknowledge our schools who are working really hard every day with our youth. They have them for the better part of the day. And our alignment is with them, to support them with what they're doing so that when they go to school, they're school ready, they're connected and feel a sense of belonging, and their community is there to support them, to support the schools, and to support the staff. So that's one of the ultimate goals, and we know that the youth have really brought to our attention some of the things that we didn't really know or understand. So that's been the magic in all of this as well, is they're directing our work. And you spoke about bringing folks together, and Mary Andrew and I are adamant that this is going to be action focused, and we understand that it takes some time to collect the information, collect the data, so that we're prepared to do what we need to do in the right way. So we're not backtracking. So we think we've come to a really good place, and now the actions are starting to happen. And a couple of really great actions that have come out of this is some gathering of information from youth and parents to inform your work through surveys.
Yes,
well,
for sure. So great lead in to our 2 surveys that we have out. So I'd like to start off first with the youth activities survey, because I think really that one is a very important survey for getting that baseline information from our youth about how the pandemic has affected them and even change the activities that they're taking part in now. We've met, a lot of the discussion around the table has been, there's actually kind of been an increase towards interest in the arts. And we all think about sports so much when we think about youth activity, but one of the, I guess, main themes that's come forward is we are lacking in some of our arts activities. So, so with that said, the survey is out now. The youth activity survey is out there for the youth. They're the ones who are supposed to be doing this one. So, and we've had some great feedback already, but the more people that fill out this survey, the more of an accurate impact that we're going to be able to have in, not only addressing, lacking areas right now, but also combining forces, like we said before, where maybe we can combine some resources and move other resources to areas that we can provide where we're lacking right now. So that's really important. So we want to really get that information. So that one we want to share out to all the youth possible. As much information as we can get, the better. And that kind of flips over to our other survey, which is the parental involvement or the parental engagement survey. This one is kind of more geared, well, it is more geared at the parents of youth. And we put in an age group from 11 to 17 for this one, just to give us kind of more targeted statistics for that age group. We do realize that the youth demographic is wider than that, but we really think for the scope of our work, it's good to kind of harness into a certain age group so that we have that focus. So that's kind of one of the main things is getting those parents engaged. But we do encourage all parents of youth, even if you have youth that are going to be coming into that age soon, having that information now so we can be proactive and to get in there and have that backdrop or that that foundation to start with. With that said too, the surveys aren't necessarily just for collecting information. We've had a lot of feedback that the questions have been actually really engaging. So a lot of the parents have really enjoyed filling out the parental engagement and the youth filling out the youth activity survey because it's made them think a little outside of the box and just kind of think like, how much information do I know about my youth and their friends and what's out there for them, and all these questions that a lot of us just rely on, go on Facebook and do a quick search. But where can we really go to collect this accurate information all in one spot kind of thing? So that's what we're kind of working down to, is to create a resource of information for everyone. And these surveys are going to be a great way to get that started. So they're right now they are live on the Town of Riverview website. So they're on the Facebook. You can go right onto the Town of Riverview Facebook page. You'll have to scroll down a little bit and you'll find them on there. We have them both posted. And I think that's going to be the starting point of some really great changes coming up in the future, because like I said, this is going to be a good baseline for us to start from. And we've already got some good actions coming out of the pipeline beyond these surveys too. So it's not just a matter of collecting the information right now. We are working on some new projects, I guess, to put forward to the public in the near future. So.
Are these things that we can talk about? You've both mentioned some things that are coming down the line. So can we mention anything that's going to be popping up? Or this...
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to, it's coming out soon. Basically, we're going to be having a small social, I guess we can call it a social media campaign. It's more of a call to action for the parents though. So we've done a graphic that will be dropping very soon on social media, and we'll be posting it all over. It'll be on the Town of Riverview site. It'll be on all of our individual organization profiles as well. And it'll also be a great image that organizations can choose to kind of post in the event that there becomes some unwanted activity on their social media feeds in terms of, parental involvement to the point where it may be counterproductive. So we're kind of trying to put reminders out there, just simple kind of no-brainer reminders that, hey, we have to set an example for our youth, and we're not always the greatest at doing that. We've suffered from the side effects of a pandemic too. So a lot of us as parents really need to get out there, socialize again, get out of our houses, get off the internet, and really start to have those meaningful relationships back. And I think our youth are really going to mimic those behaviors too. So, it's easy to be the one sitting back saying, youth, get out there and do it. But we have to also be the ones that are getting out there, being a little bit more social with things, so that we can mimic those behaviors for our kids.
Absolutely. And we're also looking at, what can we do for the community by the way of either informational webinars. So we're taking a look at some education and awareness pieces there that we may look at delivering in the next little while also. It's what's important, what do people want to know about, what do they want to learn about, and we'd like to hear from you on that. What's bogging you down and things that you're wrestling with your family, within your youth. You know, we all have experienced this, and some things that we're always learning, you know, and understanding, and we want to really listen to the youth and understand them and have conversations, and meaningful conversations, you know, around what their future looks like, or what's happening with them today. So education and awareness is a key piece that we're really focusing on as well.
I think it makes me think of, I know we've talked about it before, that idea that, you know, when you're first going to have children, you're expecting, you're pregnant, there's all kinds of books, and there's all this information about pregnancy.
Sure.
And like what to expect with, you know, a crying baby, but it doesn't talk about parenting. It talks about like physically what to expect,
Sure.
right?
It's
and
a
then you
long
find
journey.
yourself like,
Yeah.
and I remember reading, you know, when I was expecting, going, okay, but this is like this little tiny sliver of all of the rest of this. Where's the information about this part? And then I think it's the same thing when you have little kids. There's still all these, you know, parent groups and all these things about how, you know, baby-led weaning and how to help your toddler socialize. And then
Sure.
it's like, oh, your kid turned 8.
Yeah.
We don't even have a term for that. Like, they're not tweens, they're not teens. There's not even like a word
Yeah.
that we all use to describe that age group. And I think as parents, we all kind of end up in that, like, I don't know where to even look for help. And so
Things
it's
are
like,
changing so quickly too, with social media and that online presence. And there's lots of scary stuff out there, you know, and youth are facing these adversities on a daily basis. And parents are at a bit of a loss as to say, how do we direct you? You know, it's something that I, you know, with my when my girls were teenagers, like, those are the kinds of things that you really have to, you know, stick together collectively and work with all the folks in your community. It takes a village,
It really
right?
does,
We know
yeah.
that. It takes a village, and people are doing the best that they can, but it's like, you know, it really helps when you can come together and maneuver some of these things in a way that you feel support and you feel supported. So that's really the goal, and that the youth feel supported. There's so many wonderful things happening in Riverview. And, you know, I think sometimes it just doesn't get out there. And so this is an opportunity, too, to say, hey, did you know? And so take advantage of that. Yeah.
And with that said, actually, the town of Riverview, since the cohort has started, since the Riverview Youth Network has started, has already stepped up youth programming quite a bit here within our facility too. We have a Wednesday night youth drop-in that's free of charge that youth can come down to anytime. There's no sign up needed. They literally just show up. There's no costs involved. Also, we've been starting to step up our PD Day activities, getting activities. We've had one for older youth that can come down, and we've also had one for the younger kids who can come down with their parents and get a chance to get in the facility and see what we're offering. And I know a lot of the other groups are doing that too. Atlantic Wellness has had some amazing presentations for parents over the last few weeks that are, you know, based on becoming more engaged with your youth post-pandemic, and some really great programs going on within the youth network. So even if it's not coming directly out of our mouth, these wonderful things are happening, and that's part of the strength of the network, is to be able to share these things now. So that's our strength over the next little while, is to be able to, you know, really base on each other's strengths and get the word out for each other's programming that's going on. So we've already seen a big uptake on that side of things.
So we want to bring that to a larger scale and really share the work that's been happening and share this education and awareness through our network. And so we're looking at a communications plan to be able to do that, and, you know, where people will go to get their information. And so that's the plan. And thanks to you guys for helping to spread the word as well.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
well, I think it's something we talk about
All the
again
time.
and again and again, of that idea of, you know, just how important it is to share these stories and to just remind people of the things that are happening, because it is when there's so much going on and so many places to look for that information, it's easy to miss the things that already exist.
Sure.
Right? So just to, like you say, to highlight those things that are happening and then to have more come in is going to be such a fantastic thing for the town and the community.
And to reintroduce our youth to what will never be the same as we were 2.5 years ago, but what does the new and different reality look like. And, you know, always open to grassroots opportunities for kids and you know, what we can do around, you know, any ideas that folks want to bring to us. We're very open to that.
It's
Yeah.
the time to embrace change right now.
Yeah.
I think for all of us, not just for our youth, but for adults. You know,
Absolutely.
we know things aren't going to be the same. In some ways, it's good that things aren't going to be the same as they have been.
Yeah.
So I think we really need to embrace the changes that are happening and really put our momentum on positive change. It's really easy to move that momentum into the negative behaviors, and really, you know, I think it's up to all of us to do a little bit of our part, and that's a big. It's going to be a big motion of the group too, is to really put it out there. You know, that it's up to the home, to the parent to really be that backbone and that support system for our youth, to really, you know, be there for them in times of need, because we're all in that stage where we've all found that we need that help too, because of all the stresses that have come in. So it just gets kind of 10 times on our kids, I guess, is the way I'm trying to put it through, I guess.
Yeah.
So is that they're dealing with, you know.
They're dealing with a lot, but they're really smart.
Yeah.
And we love to hear them, you know, come up with their own ideas. And it might not look exactly like we would have envisioned it. But you know what? They keep us relevant and they help us to understand what's really going on. So, you know, and the research says, right, connecting to caring adults really helps a youth to be successful in the way that they see success for themselves. So that sense of belonging is so key. So if we can all be that person for our youth, I think, and set that example, as Ross said, I think that's so important.
I think you're right too, and like you had said, Ross, not everybody is into sports, not everybody, so a lot of people will get that caring adult out of a coach, but if they're like my youngest child who has zero desire to do anything, you know, someday she's going to grow up and she's going to need these activities to you know, because in Riverview, they all funnel into one system when they hit middle school, and then high school, it's a great way for them to know these kids before they all of a sudden are thrown into classes with kids they've never met. Ross, you've been there, you know, you see, you know how it goes. So I like that. And back in the day, I didn't grow up here, but I know my husband tells me about the youth center all the time. Yeah. And you guys always had that spot to go. And I have often wondered, and I wanted to ask you, do you think that this is how you kind of ended up in this position? You had that youth center, now, you know, you've got it yourself.
It definitely did. And you know what? I have to give full props to, this is a good time to give props to Karen Thompson, because she was the one that was working at that point at that old youth center back at
really?
Yep, back at Pine Glen Road, I guess is the location. And I was the generation of youth that was going there. So it's definitely, I mean, Karen was the one who hired me when I first came back to work with the town of Riverview. So it's one of those things where I think those things, even unconsciously, we see those things pay off. We see it at the skate park here all the time, where we have grown adults that are working full-time jobs, that have their own businesses, that are coming back on the weekend to donate their time to just work with the kids. And you know, you see those things, and I think you only realize it maybe a generation from now.
Totally.
But it comes back, and you always get that thank you back from people in the end, and that appreciation. So I think it's one of those things that, you know, that's an important thing for our youth to notice too, is to not only look at the short term, but to always consider the long term. I think we had that conversation earlier, just about, you know, having just a long-term view that, like, you know, your opportunities now do affect what happens later on in life. And like I said, right now is a time when we can really embrace change, really, you know, take on some new activities, go out and meet new people, you know, just get out there and really get out of our houses and connect with people and the community.
It's so important.
So,
we're all, I think, suffering from that. We haven't connected, and it's probably to our detriment, because, you know, we've isolated ourselves in that sense, and it's just so important to get back out and reconnect. And we're fortunate we have a mayor who himself was very involved, you know, through youth, and sees that, and the council sees that as a priority, which makes it so really great to work together. Obviously, I'm in the job that's that's what we do every day, and the principals do every day. Our 6 principals that are very involved in the network as well. So that's the work they do every day, and we're just so happy to have the ability to connect with the town of Riverview in this way.
Excellent.
And we're so happy to have had you with us. Everyone can find the links to the surveys through the show notes, and we will see you next week.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.